The X-Wing was one of the most iconic starfighters in galactic history, but its Clone Wars predecessor may have been even better. Let's take a look. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and this is the ARC-170. Design. The Incom Sub-Pro Aggressive Reconnaissance 170 starfighter was a fairly large fighter craft with a long, narrow main hull, two large IGP-440A ion turbine engines, and two enormous wings. The wings each had a pair of S-foils that could be opened in combat to expose heat sinks and radiator panels to cool the ship. The wings also held the ship's main weapons near the tips. The nose of the ARC-170 held most of its powerful long-range sensors. These included things like 6 active sensor modules, passive sensors, a dedicated energy receptor, and a gamma-ray imaging spectrophotometer. The ship's flight computer was located just ahead of the cockpit. Behind the nose was its large crew compartment, with 2 forward cockpits for the pilot and co-pilot, and 1 rear compartment for the gunner. These were separated by its astromech socket. In real life, the ARC-170 was designed by Ryan Church for Revenge of the Sith. Funnily enough, it was actually named after its own concept art, with ARC-170 being the title of the concept piece that was transformed into the final design. The ARC-170 went on to inspire several other ships in Star Wars, such as the never visually depicted ARC-8 starfighter and ARC-40B Scout Reconnaissance fighter. More importantly though, an unused piece of concept art created for it by Warren Fu went on to become the Jedi Vector starfighter from the High Republic era. The ARC-170 design was also used as the basis for the ARC-200 wing cutter fighter created by Pablo Gallego Sanchez for Star Wars Outlaws. Specifications. The ARC-170 measured 12.71 meters long by 19.85 meters wide and 3.81 meters tall. It had a Class 1.5 hyperdrive with a 5,000 light-year range and a top atmospheric speed of 1,050 km per hour in canon. Legends sources indicated a top speed of either a very reasonable 1,000 km per hour in the case of the Battlefront 2 game guide, or an utterly outrageous 44,000 km per hour in the Star Wars Complete Cross-Sections book. That figure has understandably been omitted from the canon Cross-Sections book. Anyway, the ARC-170 was armed with 2 medium laser cannons, 2 rear laser cannon turrets, and 2 proton torpedo launchers. It required 3 organic crew, a pilot, co-pilot, and a tail gunner, as well as an astromech droid. It could carry no passengers unless one of the crew were omitted, and could carry 110 kilograms of cargo and 1 month of consumables. In Legends, it came with a price tag of 155,000 credits new or 70,000 used, but in canon it was even more expensive at a cost of 180,000 credits. History. The ARC-170's roots date all the way back to the High Republic era a few hundred years before the Clone Wars, when the ARC-8 starfighter was in service. There may have been other ARC fighters before that, or between that and the ARC-170, but they have been lost to history if so. Very little is known about the ARC-8, but it had 8 wings, and an antique ARC-8 was borrowed by Jedi Master Saesee Tiin to defend the planet Quen in 33 BBY. The ARC-170 itself was developed by the Incom Corporation and Sublight Products Corporation shortly before the Clone Wars, and entered service not long after the war began. It was originally intended as a scout ship, but eventually replaced the V-19 Torrent as the mainline starfighter of the Republic. ARC-170s were present for many of the most important battles of the war, such as the battles of Malastare, Camino, Sullust, and Lola Sayu, as well as, of course, the climactic Battle of Coruscant. After the fall of the Republic, the Empire began phasing out the ARC-170, though it remained in service for at least 5 years before being replaced by various types of TIE fighters. The Rebellion managed to get their hands on many ARC-170s and used them throughout the Galactic Civil War, though the ARC-170's successor, the X-Wing, was much more common. The X-Wing wasn't the ARC-170's only successor, though, as Incom and/or Subpro also produced the ARC-200 wing cutter fighter at some point in the early Imperial era. This was a slightly simplified version of the ARC-170, without the moving S-foils on the wings. It did not prove nearly as popular as the ARC-170, but it did see use with the Ashiga clan, Hutt cartel, and Zarek Besh crime syndicates. And that's everything there is to know about the ARC-170. Let me know what you think of this ship, and what other starfighters you'd like to see covered in the future. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. RFC, out.